Daenerys Targaryen. She says she is the mother of dragons. But would you trust her with your kids? Her father was a maniac. She palled around with Dothraki terrorists. She asked the city of Karth for a government bailout. Then she lost 3 baby dragons after placing them in an unlocked wooden box. An unlocked wooden box. This Khaleesi wants to be queen of the 7 kingdoms, but can she be trusted? Daenerys Targaryen. Wrong for dragons. Wrong for the realm. Paid for by the Committee to Protect Dragons.
We don't know anything about him.
He was never really vetted.
Is he really the true-born son of Robert Baratheon?
All over the 7 kingdoms, people are asking the same question. Who is the real King Joffrey? The people of Westeros are hurting. Winter is coming. Crop yields are falling, and the price of fuel is going up.
The cost of peat moss is through the thatched roof.
And this young and inexperienced king takes advice from a whoremongering imp and has launched an illegal war in the north. What is King Joffrey hiding? This is not our kind of family values. King Joffrey. What a bastard.
What a bastard.
Paid for by the young Baratheons for freedom. Robb Stark. He's the biggest celebrity in the North. But his father was a traitor. He arrested his own mother. His bastard brother deserted the Night's Watch. And he couldn't defend his own castle. Worst of all, Robb Stark hasn't stopped the wildlings from invading our lands and taking our jobs. He even has an illegal alien for a nanny. And now he wants to be king in the North? King? Some people say he's really a wolf. Some people say he eats dead people. We can't wait until it's too late. Send a raven to Winterfell now and tell Robb Stark to go back home. Stop eating dead people and defend the damn wall. This ad paid for by Crossbows GPS.
You shouldn't have to pay to talk to the people closest to you, or the people who used to be. That's why Umbrella Wireless is proud to announce the new Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan. Now you'll get unlimited calls to your best buddy, your mom, or Cindy, once she realizes that you're seriously meant for each other and should stop screening your calls. Now the 30 minutes of agonizing silence where you're both afraid to hang up may drain your battery, but it won't drain your wallet. And you'll get unlimited calls just to check if she still cares enough to pick up, with no extra charges. With the Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, your phone will automatically answer calls from your ex, because maybe she finally realizes that you're the only one for her and wants to get coffee sometime. Now, after lonely nights of looking at pictures of the road trip you took together when everything was great, your misspelled texts are absolutely free. The only thing you have to pay for is the booze. The Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, because she wants you back. She just doesn't know it yet.
When you can't find anything to watch on cable, you get bored. When you get bored, you listen to radio cooking shows. When you listen to radio cooking shows, you invite a friend over for dinner. When you invite a friend over for dinner, you use twice as many beans. When you use twice as many beans, you expel deadly farts that kill your friend's dog. When you kill your friend's dog, your friend becomes unstable. When your friend becomes unstable, you're sued for everything you're worth. When you're sued for everything you're worth, you're thrown to the streets. When you're thrown to the streets, you devote your life to world domination. When you devote your life to world domination, you become an evil fascist overlord. When you become an evil fascist overlord, old friends plot their revenge. When old friends plot their revenge, you are shot in the back of the head. And when you're shot in the back of the head, you miss your jazzercise appointment. Don't miss your jazzercise appointment. Upgrade to Indirect TV. Go online or call 1-800-ERECT-TV.
Millions of Americans every day are shedding unwanted pounds by taking tested and proven Ultra Lipo Stick. Carbohydrates are bad, bad. Our carbo-fighting antioxidant is good, good. Just listen to these satisfied customers.
My name is Gail, and I lost like 20 pounds on Ultra Lipo Stick.
My name is Jared, and I lost 46 pounds using Ultra Lipo Stick.
My name is Zach, and I actually gained weight. This stuff sucks!
Ultra Lipo Stick is safe and easy to inject. Just 3 doses 4 times a day discreetly underneath your fingernail. Listen to this.
I used Ultra Lipo Stick and suffered from side effects like uncontrollable greasy discharge.
Ultra Lipo Stick, it turned the armpits of all of my shirts orange. This stuff is crap.
Try it today and see some real results. Ultra Lipo Stick. Not available in stores. Results may vary.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Most politically incorrect black man on the planet, Rod Eccles.
Well, hello, my fellow Americans, and all of my fellow liberty lovers all across the globe. It is I, your lovable host, El Rod, coming to you live from my bunkerized home studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where, yes, today I checked again, the state motto is still live free or die. It is not big government or bust. It is Hump Day, Wednesday, May the 13th in the year of our Lord 2015, as we get over that hump and start to slide down into the weekend for many of us. The number that you can call this evening is toll-free, 603-835-3224. That's 603-835-3224. And if you press those digits on your phone, you will ring into me, and I will see you and hopefully put you on the air with yours truly. You know, I was wondering, you know, because the news is kind of filled with, well, mostly it's filled with still the Brady Patriots Deflategate thing, and I'm done talking about that. The Brady went out and got himself a good lawyer. And I wasn't, you know, I forgot the man's name, but I'm not even all that interested in talking about it anymore, so I won't. There you have it. And so I was wondering what I was going to start the show off with tonight. Little secret. A lot of times I don't know what I'm going to start, what my opening monologue is going to be about until the show basically starts, which is pretty interesting, because I am sure I make it sound like I wrote the speech and planned for it for days, but that's not the case. And tonight was no different. I was wondering, you know, how I was going to open the show and start the show off for you this evening. And then all of a sudden, stuff just started coming across my feed. And it was all pretty similar. And so I did a little bit more digging and found some interesting stuff. Now, you're probably thinking it's about the Amtrak derailment. Yes, last I heard the body count or the death toll was standing at 7. I hope it stops there. But we will talk about Amtrak a little bit later. We'll get it. We got a bunch of other stuff to get into. You got some Hillary Gate stuff. Somebody told me what they call it, and I'm going to steal it. This is all about hilarious Clinton. I I should have thought of it, but I didn't. I have to admit I didn't. I should have. So from now on, we're going to... I should come up with a theme song for them, too. Hilarious Clinton and her bid for the presidency. Yeah. And we also heard about John Bolton talking about that he's getting into the race. I don't know why. Does anybody actually believe that John Bolton actually believes in his own mind that he has a shot at getting into the White House? I don't think he actually believes that, but only Mr. Bolton knows his reasons for doing it, his real true reasons for getting into the race. But what is more important is, not necessarily more important. Well, it is very important. And it starts off with today. Today was kind of a nice day. It was more typical of May, mid-May, as far as temperature and weather-wise. It didn't rain. We've hit this drought over the past week and a half to 2 weeks. Haven't had any rain, which is really kind of not normal for this time of year. But we did get a lot of rain during April. But so far in May, we haven't had so much. And that's not an issue because it's really saved a lot of places on the East Coast, up here in the Northeast especially, from flooding. We haven't had much flooding here this year, which is a good thing. Especially over the last 4 or 5 years, we've just had spring has been flood season, and there's been a lot of damage due to floods. Both public and private property have been damaged severely over the past 4 or 5 years due to flooding issues. There are towns here in New Hampshire that still haven't fully recovered from the last time they were flooded about 4 years ago, or even some even longer. But yeah, it was really rough for a while. A lot of flooding up here in the Northeast. But what we have today is some interesting global warming or man-made global climate change information. And as we approach hurricane season, it's kind of neat to note. Well, maybe it's not so neat if you're not, if you're in the hurricane alley. Maybe this year things will change, but as I have said before, there has been a string of no major hurricanes hitting the U.S. mainland since Katrina. And lo and behold, here's something from NASA. NASA itself. There have been no major U.S. hurricane landfalls in 9 years. And what they call major is Category 3 or larger. There have been no Category 3 or larger hurricanes in 9 years. Now, NASA was on their page, they're saying, well, is this luck? And they're saying, but, the United States hasn't experienced the landfall of a Category 3 or larger hurricane in 9 years, a string of years that's likely to come along once only every 177 years, according to a new NASA study. Now, how do they know that this only comes along once every 177 years? That's an odd number, don't you think? Well, it is an odd number. Well, they have to pick that number simply because the current 9-year drought is the longest period of time that has passed without a major hurricane making landfall in the USA since reliable records began. Now, let me repeat that. They only know this back to this time frame. since reliable records began in 1850. And this is from Timothy Hall, a research scientist who studies hurricanes at NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies over in New York State. So we've only had reliable records since 1850. So we can't accurately measure everything, hurricane seasonality type of stuff before 1850. So we, other than archaeological and anecdotal and historical record and documentation, we really don't know all that happened before 1850 weather-wise. We don't know. We weren't alive then. We don't know anybody who was alive then. We just don't know. So we're going to base everything on this global warming and man-made global climate change on records since 1850. Now, keep that in mind, folks, because there's a bunch more here. There's a lot more here on this global warming update stuff, and I am personally kind of livid that we're going to, Obama's running around trying to talk about how bad climate change is, and this is important, more important than Iran, more important than Middle East on fire, is global warming. The whole world's on fire. And I got to tell you, it's not. Well, these nut jobs, they're basing all of this on stuff that they know not. Because this is only coming to light since 1850. And 1850 is not a long time ago. I mean, this is why NASA is saying this is only, something that happens once every 177 years or so. Let's do the simple math. This has been 2015, 175 years. That's it. Just 175 years. That's it. So how is it this only happens once 177 years? I don't know how they know that, since they've only been keeping records since 1850, which was 175 years ago, not 177. And since this began 9 years ago, it wouldn't be 175. It would be 166 years. Did I get my math right? Yes. And look, I didn't even use a calculator or a cash register to do that. Can any of you kids under the age of 30 do that now? I mean, you get so easily confused at the cash register at McDonald's and at the grocery store and things when people are giving you odd change. So I was just wondering if you guys had a hard time figuring out that math, but in your head without a calculator. But so basically this started 166. Well, it would have been 166 years since this type of trend began. So I guess you could say, I don't know where they're getting the extra 2 years, because it would take us back to 1848. But let's just go with it. 177 years, because that's all the data they have, though. So they don't know if this happens more often, or if it did happen more often in the past, because there's no accurate or reliable records before 1850. So all they can do is speculate. Speculate. In some cases, they have to make up the data. In some cases, they leave it blank and say, well, it doesn't really matter. No, that data doesn't really matter. We know what's happening. But when they tell us that they know what's happening, they got it wrong. Well, planet's warming up. Well, we're going to have a lot more major, more deadly hurricanes than ever before because man-made global warming and climate change is affecting the weather pattern. And hurricanes are going to get more frequent and more intense. We're going to see new categories of hurricane. We're going to see a lot more category 4 and 5, and we're going to have to create a new category 6, because they're going to get so strong. And we get out here, and now we're told, well, geez, this is a string of years that only comes around once every 177 years. So I guess in 177 years from now, we're going to have another string of 9 years when the United States mainland doesn't get hit by a hurricane. And this is what they're telling you. So in 177 years, every 175, 177, 180 years, we're going to have a stretch of 9 or 10 years where no major hurricane above a Category 3, Cat 3, is going to hit the mainland of the United States. So, in other words, they're saying this is a pattern. Has nothing to do with mankind. This is just a pattern. Do you understand that, folks? This only happens, NASA says this only happens once every 177 years or so, which means it's a pattern. In other words, our climate has cycles. It has patterns. Goes up and down throughout the millennium. It has patterns, cycles. So you got to ask, well, hey, NASA, if the planet has cycles in its climate and weather, could it be that, when you thought that the Earth was rising in temperature and heat, that it was just a cycle that the planet was going through? Because, now we know that there hasn't been any warming for a very long time. And you have to ask, if this hasn't happened in a very long time and the planet isn't heating up, then what is all of this about? What is all this man-made global warming crap about? What is all of this man-caused natural disasters and man-caused global climate change? What is all of this really about? Why is it really about saving the planet if the planet really doesn't need saving? Seriously, think about it. Is it really about saving the planet if the planet does not need saving? Well, no, it's not about saving the planet, especially when the planet doesn't need saving. What it is about, and here is some number, and I've always said this, if you've listened to the show for any length of time, then you know I have said this. It's about control and it's about the money. And you might say, well, Rod, especially if you're a liberal out there listening, or if you're a centrist and you believe in global climate change, you're probably saying, well, you got to prove it, Rod. Come on. Well, what do you mean it's all about control and money? Money? You think everything's about money? It's not about money. Money is, that's for people who have money to worry about doing things with money. This is about the planet, Rod. This is about everybody. Well, let me tell you. Leadership.ng News has a story. And that backs up what I have been saying all along. UN, as in United Nations, urges government to accelerate contributions to Green Climate Fund. No, wait a minute. We haven't had a major... there has been no increase in major hurricane at all, as was predicted. And there hasn't been such an increase that one has not hit or made landfall in the United States mainland in 9 years. We haven't had a major hurricane in 9 years. There has not been a sudden increase in hurricanes during the hurricane season down around Hurricane Alley. There hasn't. So what is this really all about? Well, it's about money. Money, money, money. Now, the Green Climate Fund, on a Sunday in Seoul, at the end of its conference, that as of April 30th, 2015, the fund has signed $4 billion in contributors. $4 billion. Now, Hela, H-E-L-A, Chukaruhu, C-A, now pay attention to this one, C-H-E-I-K-H-R-O-U-H-O-U, the executive director of the Green Climate Fund, said that this represented 42% of the amount that was committed during the fund's initial pledging conference back in 2014. So they're seeking, it's $4 billion in a UN fund. They're seeking money. That's what, all of this global warming nonsense is all about. It's about money. Money. And control. Yeah, government control, obviously. But it's mostly about money. Because whoever has the money has the control. Correct? Yes, correct. Of course it's correct, because I said it. And I'm not wrong, so it has to be correct. Now, she said the fund at its conference in Berlin in November 2014 authorized allocation of resources once over 50% of the total amount pledged. The Green Climate Fund's high-level pledging conference has been made available in order to reach the $4.7 billion target. They have a target goal of getting $4.7 billion from the world's citizens via these governments through the UN. Now, she noted that contributing governments have agreed to this threshold. Well, yeah, if you have a government that's just going to ignore fact that there is no global warming or man-made global climate change, look, the UN and this body at the UN, the Green Climate Fund, they want their money because, hey, they need it. They need the money in order to keep paying these people to do this kind of stuff. They got to keep paying people to say that we're just lucky that we haven't had a hurricane over the last 9 years, a major hurricane to make landfall of the United States. We had a couple that have skirted the East Coast. They kind of battered the East Coast. They've taken a trek up north. And maybe they've taken, put Bermuda on notice. That kind of stuff. No, but they're not. They're not talking about actually doing anything. They just want the money. Give us that $4.7 billion that you promised us. So says the UN. We need that $4 billion that you promised us. Come on, can't you give us that $4 billion that you promised us, please? Because it's all about the money, folks. I've told you this time and time again. This is not about actually doing anything to save the planet, because the planet really doesn't need saving for mankind. The planet is, Mother Nature is going to do what Mother Nature is going to do. Hey, what? She's already said, you know what? I'm just kind of bored with sending major hurricanes to the United States because, they always seem to clean up pretty fast. I know there was that Katrina thing that wasn't so fast, but usually when they get major hurricanes, things get cleaned up pretty fast. And all I'm doing sometimes is to help the government over there to catch some unscrupulous builders and home inspectors and building inspectors. Because I blow stuff over, they come and take a look and see why stuff got blown over so easy, and find out that people, contractors are cutting corners, and people are going to have to be fined and possibly even jailed. But other than that, there's no need. There isn't any need. So, Mother Nature's like, that I'm just kind of bored. I'm not going to send you any hurricanes. But when I do, man, you're going to notice it. But when she does, I can guarantee you they're all going to be running around saying, see, we told you it's man-made global climate change because Mother Nature decided that now it was time to send more hurricanes after a 9-year drought.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. Call InventHelp today.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-352-1609. That's 1-800-352-1609.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method and to get your free report, go to 52security.com. That's the number 52security.com. 52security.com. Go to 52security.com.
Hurt or injured in a car accident? It can be hard to take the proper legal action after a car accident, but waiting can cost you more. The law requires car accident victims to assert claims promptly. You could lose out by simply waiting. Call 800-709-4667 right now to see what your claim could be worth when handled by a skilled attorney. With a lawyer fighting and speaking up for you, you could be entitled to a big cash award. Call 800-709-4667. That's 800-709-4667. Now it's fast and easy to connect with the legal help you need after your car accident. Call 800-709-4667. The call is free, but you need to act now before time runs out on your claim. You need a lawyer to fight for you, protect you, and get you the compensation you need and deserve. Time's wasting. Call 800-709-4667. That's 800-709-4667. Call now.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
You shouldn't have to pay to talk to the people closest to you, or the people who used to be. That's why Umbrella Wireless is proud to announce the new Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan. Now you'll get unlimited calls to your best buddy, your mom, or Cindy, once she realizes that you're seriously meant for each other and should stop screening your calls. Now the 30 minutes of agonizing silence where you're both afraid to hang up may drain your battery, but it won't drain your wallet. And you'll get unlimited calls just to check if she still cares enough to pick up. with no extra charges. With the Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, your phone will automatically answer calls from your ex, because maybe she finally realizes that you're the only one for her and wants to get coffee sometime. Now, after lonely nights of looking at pictures of the road trip you took together when everything was great, your misspelled texts are absolutely free. The only thing you have to pay for is the booze. The Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan. Because she wants you back. She just doesn't know it yet.
You're listening to The Rod Eccles Show.
603-835-3224 is the number. I love that bumper. Gives me life. Gets me going. Gets the people going. You know, this conference of the United Nations. Well, let me just finish going. No, this is directly from the UN, by the way. They've set a deadline in order to enable the fund that they have to begin the critical phase of allocating resources to low-emission and climate-resilient projects and programs in developing countries before the now get this, before the 21st Conference of the Parties to the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. Let me repeat that. The 21st Conference of the Parties to the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. Now, the UNFCCC, their 21st convention on this. Now, understand, now I want you to go back to November of 2014. They held this conference in Berlin, Germany. Talking about, climate change. You guys gotta, government's gotta give us money so we can start, looking at stuff and allocating resources to low emission and climate resilient project. What's a climate resilient project? But that was in November, Berlin. And then in April, they were in Seoul, Korea. Seoul. And coming in December of this year, they're going to be in Paris. Now, how do you think these people are getting all over the planet? Do you think they're walking or taking horses and elephants and camels? Of course not. They're flying in jet aircraft, and then they're taking limos to their hotels and to the conference centers. And you want to talk about a big bunch of hypocrites? Why can't they just stay in their own home country and use the internet? Video conferencing is a lot cheaper. It's a lot more environmentally friendly than flying all over the place in private and public jet aircraft. And it's definitely more convenient and environmentally friendly than running around in limousines. In SUVs, chauffeured SUV. I mean, come on. How naive how stupid do these people think that we are? Well, they obviously think that we're pretty stupid. Although Americans have wised up to that, because every time they do a poll about global warming and man-made climate change, fewer and fewer Americans say, fewer and fewer Americans either say that it's a priority, because it's not, so it's really way down on the list of priorities. And fewer and fewer Americans are saying that, yeah, man is the cause of the current climate change issue, which there is no climate change issue. There hasn't been any warming in 18 years. There hasn't been any major U.S. hurricane landfall in 9 years. They told us Hurricane Katrina was just the beginning. Well, they were actually jumping up and down for joy because of Hurricane Katrina. Oh, yeah, see, we told you, man-made climate change, man. It's man's fault. We're going to see Katrinas every single year now. And then we don't get any for 9 years and counting. And they're going to contribute it. Well, it's either luck or, this is a drought that happens once every 177 years, which coincides with, 177 years coincides with the time that they started keeping reliable records on this stuff. So we have no idea if it takes longer for this, or if this happens more often, if you average out, over the centuries or not. We don't know. They're just, we haven't had this kind of a break of 9-year break in 177 years. Well, we don't know what we had before 1850. We don't know how many years we went before. It could be longer. There could have been times where the stretch was longer, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Mother Nature has a way of doing stuff that she wants to do and making, balancing it. Kind of like the movie Godzilla. Yeah, the new one, which I liked. I really liked it. You realize I have been to the theater. I paid to go to the theater to see that movie 3 times. 3 times. I mean, I saw it in IMAX the first time. Godzilla was, he's 300 feet tall anyway, or whatever, however tall he is, and then all of a sudden, he's bigger than life on IMAX. And I saw him at a non-IMAX theater, which is a lot of fun because it's a little bit different. Because I'm really into IMAX theater. I mean, you go to that large screen and you get spoiled, really instantly. I did not see it in 3D. I don't even know if Godzilla came in 3D. That probably would have been interesting to see. But I remember the first major when 3D was hitting. It was all the rage. It was a Johnny Depp movie, the Alice in Wonderland thing. Which was kind of cool because it kind of, there were scenes where they had, the dandelion flowers and pollen floating in the air, and it looked like it was all around you. That was really cool. And you didn't end up with a headache after the movie. It was really cool. And but I haven't seen a lot of movies in 3D. Why? I mean, they had there was a while just everything that came out was in 3D, but that's kind of gone beyond the wayside. But everything is in IMAX still. The larger than large screens, movie screens, and it's awesome. So I saw Godzilla in an IMAX, and I saw Godzilla in a standard theater, and then I saw Godzilla again at a place. It's like a Chunky's, I think it is. It's not. It's a twist on theaters. Movie theaters, it's a combo of a restaurant and movie theater. You have a regular, size movie screen, but you don't have the typical slant floor that movies theaters typically have. It's a flat surface because most of the seating in there is at tables, and you order food. So it's not just popcorn. You order food and alcohol. You can order alcoholic beverages at this Chunky's. So it's really different. Somebody comes to your you get a waiter or a waitress, and they come to your table and take your order, and while the movie's playing, you get your food and you eat and you drink and you whoop it up and have a good time. That's not a place you go to see a serious movie for the first time. Maybe you've seen it already, and you go with a bunch of people and you have some fun. So I've done that. So that was the third time me seeing Godzilla. It was awesome. It was, I got to tell you, I kind of snuck in. The second time we went, I didn't sneak it in. I have some friends that are kind of crazy. She's a nut. She's really fun to hang out with, but it was 5 of us. And she decided that she was going to sneak in a bottle of wine to the regular theater. No, don't tell anybody. Yeah, so we were watching Godzilla. I was watching it for the second time. A few of my friends I was with was watching it for the first time. And we were drinking wine and eating popcorn, watching Godzilla. And the last time I saw it, we had a few beers. We bought a couple of pitchers of beers to see Godzilla, and we had chicken wings and that kind of typical that type of bar type of food, watching Godzilla. Live on the screen. Now, I'm surprised that there wasn't any type of Well, there was kind of a global warming type of message. And the message is that nature, it was a good message, by the way. Nature has balance. Nature always seeks balance. And when we had the giant bad monsters, the mutos, who all of a sudden appeared, well, then Godzilla appeared. And, the scientists were saying, well, this is nature's way of balancing it out. Godzilla is an apex predator. He's the top of the, on top of the top food chain there. He's the king. An apex predator. That's his job, to bring balance to the world, to nature. So maybe nature is balancing itself out by not giving us a string of 9 years without having hurricanes, because we had a string of really powerful bad hurricanes in the 80s and 90s, did we not? We had things like Andrew, and then we had Katrina, and there was a few others in there, and so maybe nature was like, okay, no, I got to balance myself out, so we're not going to have any for like 9 years or 10. If we don't get any this year, this would be year number 10, and nature is kind of ignoring us, kind of like the mutos and Godzilla. They look down on the human beings like, you guys are tiny, you're puny, you're insignificant to me. And Godzilla is looking at humans. I'm not here to hurt you. I could stomp on you and eat you and crush you. And I'm not even here to. Guys are. In other words, nature. In the movie, nature was they were kind of telling us that nature views mankind as being puny and insignificant, pretty much. But we have all these wonderful fake scientists, they're real scientists. No, if you lie about science, I don't care what your degrees say and how long you studied, you're a fake scientist. You're a fraud. And we know that they've committed fraud in this global warming front. We've seen the emails. We've seen the real test results. We've seen the data that they've input into some of these models. It's all been skewed. In other words, it's been faked. We know that they're faking it. So they're fake scientists out there trying to tell us that there's this real issue with mankind, and there isn't any. And Godzilla was being perfectly, the movie Godzilla, the latest one, was being perfectly clear. Hey, it was the first Godzilla movie, the original Gojira. Godzilla came about due to mankind's nuclear testing. Yeah, it's terrible. Godzilla has a history of being politically correct, if you will, on global warming and pollution and such. There's quite a few Godzilla movies that take that vein. And this one comes along and throws a wrench into all the previous Godzilla. Because then they say, this one, it says, well, you remember these nuclear tests, and we originally thought that they created Godzilla. But what we now know, the secret's out, we weren't testing. Nuclear bombs didn't cause or create Godzilla. No, actually, we weren't testing. We were trying to kill him. And we failed. Because, nature. Nature will do what nature does. Basically is what the story is about. Nature will do what nature does, and it will seek its own balance regardless of what we do. So these people over here in the UN, it's all about the money and control. Because they think they're so smart that they can fake a bunch of information and get you to believe it, which a lot of people did. And now we're told, and this is from climatedepot.com, there's a pause happening. Yeah, I kid you not, folks. I kid you not. I told you about this global warming stuff. I've been telling you this since I first started broadcasting back in 2009. And again, I've been proven right. You skeptics out there, you're going to learn not to doubt me. I would think that this would, help bring that forth of no doubt. No doubting Rod. ClimateDepot.com. Global warming pause expands to new record length. There has been no warming for 18 years and 5 months and counting. Now, this is scientific data. This is them keeping accurate records that they don't want you to know about. But it's the cat's out of the bag now. The proverbial cat is out of the bag. Godzilla brought it forth. Look, hey, folks, there's been no global warming. There's been no warming of this planet. And you hear this constantly, the planet is warming, the oceans are getting warmer. They've been saying that, the ocean levels are rising. It's all been lies. Over the past 18 years, it's been nothing but lie after lie after lie after lie. And it is now out there that they have the data to show you and prove it to you. There has been no global warming for over 18 years and counting now. No warming. Planet's not getting hotter. And I think, for those of us who've been alive long enough, we can see the anecdotal evidence that, we've had some pretty cold and harsh winters over the past few years. Seems like winters are coming back with a vengeance. I know we all have the grandparent or the uncle or something, or we remember winters when we were little and real little and young, and the snowbanks were over our heads and all that kind of stuff. Well, that's pretty easy when you're only 3 feet tall, but still at the same time, we also remember that it had been pretty cold. And now we're getting back to that. We are back to that. I mean, this year's winter it started pretty early from what we've been used to. We started getting pounded, with snow, and the same with last year. We started getting pounded with snow and cold temperatures in December, 2 years running. And this past winter, we were breaking cold record lows all over the country. We were breaking snowfall records all over the country. We were setting snow records in places that don't normally get snow. How do you set a record someplace you don't get snow? Well, we're getting snow. And that's not due to... And it's not just happening in the United States. Eastern and Western Europe last year, it was in a deep freeze. Remember that? I mean, places that are normally cold, it was colder. And it was so cold that even they said it was cold. Places like in Russia and the Ukraine and Finland and Sweden, all the way down to Spain and France, places that don't normally get all that cold in the winter, they were like freezing their little tushies off. So now we see 18 years, 5 months, and running of no warming. None. But weren't we just told a few months ago, last year, the year before last, all the way back to 2009, oh yeah, the planet's heating up, planet's warming up, we're getting hotter and hotter. It's going up by this much and this much and this much, and by the end of the decade and by the end of the century, it's going to be this high. And it's all been a bunch of lies because there hasn't been any warming. But yet we have the UN people, climate change people, running all over the globe in their jets and limousines, trying to get money and so they can get laws and programs in place that restrict our freedom and liberty because they want to tell us how to live, because they want this green utopia that at this particular juncture in man's development does not exist. We don't have it within us to do it yet. We'll get there. And we will actually have alternative sources of energy that will not pollute at all, that will be in harmony with nature, but we're not there yet. We don't have that technology yet. Maybe we do, but it's not practical yet. That's what I should say. We have certain technologies that have proven that can work, but they're not practical. They're not as efficient as they could be yet. So we're not there yet. And as far as things getting really, really warm, well, I think you better ask the scientists again about how warm it is. Because here's something from the Daily Caller. And I look at people, yeah, the ice is melting. The polar ice is melting. And all we saw was all of these, these glaciers falling off into the ocean. What they didn't tell you is that they weren't breaking off into the ocean because, things were warming up and that the polar ice caps were shrinking. Oh, no. They were breaking off because they were expanding out over the landmass, so there was no longer anything but water underneath them to support all this mass. In other words, they were growing. And here's the proof. I told you this. Here's the proof. Daily Caller has the article. Antarctica has so much sea ice that scientists are having trouble getting to Antarctica. You can't get there from here, as they say up here in Maine. In other words, the scientists can't get to where they want to go to study global warming. That's why they're going down there. They can't get to where they want to go to study global warming because it's too cold and there's too much ice. Now, how is that for irony? The scientists are struggling to stage expeditions to the South Pole because Antarctica's sea ice has been growing rapidly and hit record high levels. I told you. God, how many times am I going to say it? I told you, I told you, I told you. Look, all you got to do is look at NASA photographs of the poles and you can see that there's like tons of ice. I mean, it's white. The photographs are showing white caps on either end of the planet. Top and bottom, if you will. But that ice is not supposed to be there. I mean, what did we have last year and this year? We had the Great Lakes almost at 100% ice over. You don't get Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, Lake Erie, and the other Great Lakes to ice over unless it's freaking cold. And it has to be cold for an extended period of time. It isn't going to be like you're not going to freeze over the Great Lakes with a cold snap for a week. No, you're going to have an long extended period of time. And the previous year has got to be pretty cold too, because and then the summers have to be fairly cool because the water can't heat up that much. So when you get back around to winter again, it's already starting at a heat deficit, if you want to call it. And heat deficit is what? Opposite of warming. Yes. So the UK Guardian reports 50 scientists have gathered in Tasmania to discuss more accurate ways to predict Antarctica sea ice levels so researchers don't get stuck in ice when traveling southward. Look, you can't make this stuff up, folks. You can't make it up. I don't need to make these people they're a comedy movie all by themselves. You can't nobody can write a script like this. Yeah, I mean, this is all just natural stuff happening. And over and over again. And they're telling us it's hard to forecast the ice. We can't. Well, I thought they could predict how warm the weather was, or the planet was going to be 100 years from now. And now they're telling us that they cannot predict ice a year or less from now. But they can tell us how hot it's going to be. They just can't predict how cold it's going to be. Yeah. It's going to be hot. We're going to be so hot. We're going to be blazing. Oh, but, we don't have no idea how cold it's going to be. We can't predict, how much ice there's going to be next month. But we can tell you 100 years from now how hot it's going to be. Now, last year, I guess, ships couldn't get anywhere near the Australian Antarctic Division's research site on Antarctica. They couldn't get there because it was too cold in an era of global warming. It was too cold. There was too much ice in an era of us losing our polar caps, so they said. They couldn't predict how much ice in an era when they were telling us how hot it was going to get if we didn't do something to combat global warming. And yet, we're told that we're supposed to know, or we're supposed to stop all this global warming stuff. Supposed, because we're causing it. But again, all that is a lie, folks. Is a lie, has been a lie, always will be a lie. Don't ever doubt me.
Daenerys Targaryen. She says she is the mother of dragons. But would you trust her with your kids? Her father was a maniac. She palled around with Dothraki terrorists. She asked the city of Karth for a government bailout. Then she lost 3 baby dragons after placing them in an unlocked wooden box. An unlocked wooden box. This Khaleesi wants to be queen of the 7 kingdoms, but can she be trusted? Daenerys Targaryen. Wrong for dragons. Wrong for the realm. Paid for by the Committee to Protect Dragons.
We don't know anything about him.
He was never really vetted.
Is he really the true-born son of Robert Baratheon?
All over the 7 kingdoms, people are asking the same question. Who is the real King Joffrey? The people of Westeros are hurting. Winter is coming. Crop yields are falling, and the price of fuel is going up.
The cost of peat moss is through the thatched roof.
And this young and inexperienced king takes advice from a whoremongering imp and has launched an illegal war in the north. What is King Joffrey hiding? This is not our kind of family values. King Joffrey. What a bastard.
What a bastard.
Paid for by the young Baratheons for freedom. Robb Stark. He's the biggest celebrity in the North. But his father was a traitor. He arrested his own mother. His bastard brother deserted the Night's Watch. And he couldn't defend his own castle. Worst of all, Robb Stark hasn't stopped the wildlings from invading our lands and taking our jobs. He even has an illegal alien for a nanny. And now he wants to be king in the North? King? Some people say he's really a wolf. Some people say he eats dead people. We can't wait until it's too late. Send a raven to Winterfell now and tell Robb Stark to go back home. Stop eating dead people and defend the damn wall. This ad paid for by Crossbows GPS.
You shouldn't have to pay to talk to the people closest to you, or the people who used to be. That's why Umbrella Wireless is proud to announce the new Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan. Now you'll get unlimited calls to your best buddy, your mom, or Cindy, once she realizes that you're seriously meant for each other and should stop screening your calls. Now the 30 minutes of agonizing silence where you're both afraid to hang up may drain your battery, but it won't drain your wallet. And you'll get unlimited calls just to check if she still cares enough to pick up, with no extra charges. With the Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, your phone will automatically answer calls from your ex, because maybe she finally realizes that you're the only one for her and wants to get coffee sometime. Now, after lonely nights of looking at pictures of the road trip you took together when everything was great, your misspelled texts are absolutely free. The only thing you have to pay for is the booze. The Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, because she wants you back. She just doesn't know it yet.
When you can't find anything to watch on cable, you get bored. When you get bored, you listen to radio cooking shows. When you listen to radio cooking shows, you invite a friend over for dinner. When you invite a friend over for dinner, you use twice as many beans. When you use twice as many beans, you expel deadly farts that kill your friend's dog. When you kill your friend's dog, your friend becomes unstable. When your friend becomes unstable, you're sued for everything you're worth. When you're sued for everything you're worth, you're thrown to the streets. When you're thrown to the streets, you devote your life to world domination. When you devote your life to world domination, you become an evil fascist overlord. When you become an evil fascist overlord, old friends plot their revenge. When old friends plot their revenge, you are shot in the back of the head. And when you're shot in the back of the head, you miss your jazzercise appointment. Don't miss your jazzercise appointment. Upgrade to Indirect TV. Go online or call 1-800-ERECT-TV.
Millions of Americans every day are shedding unwanted pounds by taking tested and proven ultra-lipostick. Carbohydrates are bad. Our carbo-fighting antioxidant is good. Just listen to these satisfied customers.
My name is Gail, and I lost like 20 pounds on ultra-lipostick.
My name is Jared, and I lost 46 pounds using ultra-lipostick.
My name is Zach, and I actually gained weight. This stuff sucks!
Ultra-lipostick is safe and easy to inject. Just 3 doses 4 times a day discreetly underneath your fingernail. Listen to this.
I used ultra-lipostick and suffered from side effects like uncontrollable greasy discharge.
Ultra-lipostick, it turned the armpits of all of my shirts orange. This stuff is crap.
Try it today and see some real results. Ultra-lipostick. Not available in stores. Results may vary.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Most politically incorrect black man on the planet, Rod Eccles.
You just can't believe a global warming scientist, because actually that's an oxymoron for one, because they're fake scientists. Even if they have PhDs in real science, they're out there trying to look. Scientists aren't supposed to try to put forth their agenda. Not at all. Not at all. They're supposed to be out there looking for the truth, the facts. Not they have to put their own feelings aside. And we have scientists today that don't want to do that because they're so brilliant in their own minds that they think that they know what's best for the rest of the world. And oftentimes science doesn't understand what they have uncovered or what they learned. And indeed, we think we learned something, and only to find out later on that we didn't really know anything because what we learned was actually wrong. And look, I'm a lover of science. Most Christians are, because science is invented, created by God, and so it's a way to get to know God. Actually, think about it. Science. Learning about science and all the great detail of science and all the laws of science, it just shows the order of the universe in what appears to be nothing but chaos. But the more and more we learn, the more and more we realize it is ordered. But also, the more we learn, the more we realize we don't know. But it is a way for Christians to get to understand and get to know God, because he created all of this, we believe. And though if you look at an artist and they create something, you can learn a little bit about the artist and the creations that they have in their art. Well, this whole universe is the art of God. So we're learning more about God the more we know about science. So Christians actually, unlike what some people say, we actually do really embrace and love science, because it doesn't disprove God. It just proves him to exist, and that there's order, and that we actually begin to learn more about him. And this whole global warming thing, we knew, most Christians knew, even though we were eventually talked into it. And by the way, the Vatican has been pressured and talked out of supporting global warming, especially now that, all this stuff is coming out that global warming has been faked and the data has been faked, and, they're flying around all over the planet, talking about global warming, emitting all the, all this carbon and greenhouse gases in the air from their limousines and their jet planes. And the fact that the ice on the North and South poles are at record levels, and scientists can't even get to the Antarctic pole region to study it because there's too much ice. Just saying. Good evening, my fellow Americans. It is I love throwing factual wrenches into the liberal agenda. Anyway, it is I, your lovable host, coming to you live from my bunkerized home studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is still, to this day, live free or die. It is not big government or bust. It is Wednesday, hump day, May the 13th in the year of our Lord 2015, as we begin to cruise on in and slide on into home base, because it is baseball season, I guess, into home plate for the weekend. The number that you can call this evening, if you wish to talk to me live on the air, is area code 603-835-3224. That's 603-835-3224, and that is a toll-free call. By the way, this summer, now I'm going to say up front, I don't know how extensive and how far and wide it's going to be, but this summer I'm beginning something that I have never done before. And I know some of you are saying, whoa, what are you doing, Rod? You never done something before? Yeah, there's a lot that I've never done before that I'd like to do. But this kind of coincides with the wonderful election season that is going to be ramping up. And I will be going on a speaking tour, giving keynote speeches. Now, unfortunately, I do not have the cred and clout to demand, $250,000 per speech that, say, Hillary and Bill Bill gets up to $1 million a speech. So I'm definitely not in that elite class of speaker. But I will be going on my first speaking tour this summer, working on some dates and places now, and it looks like I could be going to places now. I'll let you know as things get firmed up for sure, but I could be in places. I could be in your neck of the woods. Looks like I could be in Pennsylvania and Virginia and Ohio, possibly Texas, maybe Florida. I don't know where else I'll be. But as the dates get confirmed and the places get confirmed, I will let you know. And if you've got if you're part of a group or an organization, a conservative, even if you're a liberal group and you think you can take me on live, that's fine. Just go to my website, rodeccles.net, and go to the speaking link or page, and you'll get the information on how to contact me for a possible speaking engagement. And in your area, anywhere in the 48 continuous states. I'm sorry, 49. I'll go to I cannot see myself being asked to go to speak in very liberal Hawaii. I'd love to. Don't get me wrong. If you're out in Hawaii under the sound of my voice and you think you can bring me out there and make an impact out there, I would love to go. But I'm just not feeling like Hawaii is going to be very receptive to my message. But Alaska, we'll include Alaska. Puerto Rico. I don't know how much of an impact going to Puerto Rico is going to be, but hey, vacation for me, I guess. Although in the summer, it's probably not a good time to go to Puerto Rico. It's probably too hot and muggy down in Puerto Rico. Too steamy. But hey, when December, January, and February roll around, of next winter season, Puerto Rico, abso-freaking-lutely. Bring me down. But we are, as we speak, we are firming up some dates And those will be revealed to you as those dates get a little bit closer, and we are absolutely certain and confirmed on them. But there you have it. Yours truly could be speaking in a city or neighborhood near you. Think about it. How many people, raise your hands, now I can't see if you raise your hands, but raise your hands if you would like to have good old Elrod in your neighborhood speaking a good, solid, positive, constitutional, conservative message to anybody who's willing to hear it. Well, I got my hand raised. I'd love to hear me say that. Just saying. Ours, it didn't take them long, the left, to turn this absolute horrendous tragedy of this train Amtrak derailment to start trying to make political hay out of it. This is mostly from the left. This is just shameful. It is. I know. Rahm Emanuel said you never let a good crisis go to waste, but there are some things that you gotta just let go because it is absolutely shameful when you try to make political hay out of it. So far, from what I understand and what I know and what I've read, that the death toll stands at 7. Now, I haven't seen any news reports yet. Nothing has come across my phone yet that has increased that number, but it looks like it's standing at 7, and it may stay there. Hopefully it does. Don't want to see any more loss of life out of this. But here's the problem. The train itself was going into a bend that was had a speed limit posted of 50 miles per hour. Now, you have to understand, trains have speed limits just like automobiles on paved roads. Trains have speed limits, and they have to have speed limits because of things like, curves, turns, rail yards and switchbacks and populated areas and things like that. There are speed limits, and they have, speed limits posted. And there was a 50 mile per hour where this derailment happened on this particular curve. It was a posted speed limit of 50 miles per hour. Evidently, depending on the report that you read, the train was going 106 or 107 miles per hour, more than double the speed limit. Well, let me tell you something. You get trains doing that kind of speed. Even a car that takes a curve for 50 miles per hour doing 100 miles per hour is not going to make that curve. Even the good old super duper, super souped up, wonderful $250,000 to $500,000 sports cars are not going to be able to do that. Either they're going to flip or they're going to leave the road. It's just not, the physics is not there. We haven't learned anti-gravity turns yet. I know some people out there believe in UFOs, and UFOs can do 90-degree turns in a heartbeat at high speeds. Well, we haven't learned how to do anti-gravity turns like that yet, because basically you'd need to have anti-gravity in order to extinguish the physics of momentum. And I think you need more than because even if you're in space and you're going in a certain direction, it doesn't. You can't just automatically change direction without there being some consequence. So we haven't learned how to do to bend the laws of physics and the laws of momentum, velocity and momentum. We haven't learned how to bend those yet and break those rules, especially with a train. And this train was doing twice the speed limit. So from what I'm reading, from the reports that I've been getting and seeing and reading, more than twice. Now I don't know if the engineer fell asleep or was looking at his cell phone or what have you. We hear stuff like that all the time. I don't know, but we do know that it was going too fast, which is the reason for the derailment, the injury, and death and destruction. Now, According to this Hot Air article, hours after tragic train derailment, MSNBC ghoulishly uses it to advance a political agenda. That's right, because they were looking at, hey, China spends like $128 billion on rails, and we spend less than $2 billion. So, what has that got to do? What we've also learned is that there was equipment, safety equipment, that was already available that should have been installed on this train that wasn't installed. So evidently we already had it. We had the technology to prevent this, but our government, the same government that's now in charge of our health care, didn't follow through. They didn't follow through on this. So, but now you have MSNBC out there running around and talking about, let's just make this a political thing, a political agenda, so we can get our agenda passed. But in an awful, never let a crisis go to waste. In the genre of never let a crisis go to waste, from current Chicago mayor and former White House chief of staff Rahm Emanuel, MSNBC, MS Mess, you could add tragedy to the list of events that should be exploited for their maximum political value. I mean, this is disgusting. And this is from MS Mess. But anyway, in an awful tragedy, one particularly acute for New York City and Washington, D.C. residents, an Amtrak train derailed Tuesday night, resulting in over 140 injuries and at least 7 deaths so far. Bodies were still being collected when the host and guest of MSNBC's Morning Joe appeared convinced that this tragedy could have been averted had the Congress passed massive spending measures aimed at repairing what Barack Obama contends is America's crumbling infrastructure. I thought we already spent billions of dollars upgrading Amtrak. And as a matter of fact, don't we have high-speed rail on Amtrak now? Well, you don't get high-speed rail unless you do what? Upgrade it. You got to make it so it can handle the train and the speeds. So it's not crumbling. It was updated and upgraded. Look, if it wasn't, why the hell did they put a train that could do 100 miles per hour on it? I know that's a logical question to ask, and you're probably saying, Rod, you got to stop being logical for 5 seconds. No, I'm not going to stop being logical. I'm going to keep pounding away at logical questions so I can get logical answers. Because that's the right question to ask, and it's the right thing to wonder. Well, if we have, if our rail infrastructure is so feeble and it's crumbling like that, how do you put a train and allow it to go 100 miles per hour? Forget the fact that it was trying to take a 50 mile per hour curve at 106 or 107. Let's just say it was a straightaway. But if our infrastructure is crumbling, how is the crumbling rail system going to be able to handle the pressure of a heavy train going that fast? I don't know. But MSNBC is saying, well, this is due to lack of infrastructure spending. Well, isn't that what stimulus and son of stimulus and grandson of stimulus is supposed to do? That's what they said. We have all these shovel-ready jobs. All we need to do is just pay for them. And we'll have all these shovel-ready jobs. Now, in a compelling post, National Review's Jonah Goldberg unloaded on the unfounded self-assuredness and the factually inaccurate assertions that characterize this assessment. What's more, Jonah addressed the hideously ghoulish desire displayed this morning by these media figures to advance a political agenda on the heels of a bloody tragedy while they were still gathering the bodies. Think about that. They were out there speculating that the reason this tragedy happened is because we're not spending enough tax dollars. Our taxes are not high enough. We're not taxing people enough. So we could spend more tax dollars on upgrading and repairing and replacing our crumbling infrastructure. All of which, we've already put trillions towards fixing it. Evidently, I guess those previous trillions weren't enough, huh? Well, this is what MSNBC is trying to put forth to you. They're saying, oh, no. Not enough. Basically, there's this obsession, particularly on the East Coast, with moving lots of Americans around by train. Now, they're stating here in the article that the sophisticated Europeans do that, so we should too. There's so much know-nothingism at work here. In America, we move stuff, freight, by rail, and people by road and by plane. In Europe, they do it the other way around. America's freight rail system is the best in the world, which is why Warren Buffett keeps investing in it. So they got to bring in Warren Buffett, billionaire. He keeps investing in rails. Now, the reason for this arrangement have to do with population density, geography, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I'm not saying our passenger rail system couldn't be better, particularly in the Northeast, but this idea that we're falling behind China on infrastructure is ridiculous just because the Morning Joe crowd doesn't care about or see the freight rail system. It doesn't mean we should obviously blow it up to turn it into a passenger rail system. Well, that's the other thing. Our rail system, although it is not high speed all over the place, for moving freight and keeping trucks off the road and being efficient at moving goods across this country, is the best on the planet. I mean, we got a lot of rail infrastructure in this country because our country's so big, and we've got so much country that is away from a seaport. The interior of the country has to get their goods and services from seaports on either side of the country. Well, rails bring it to them. And it does it a lot more efficiently, and they can move more of it at one time for less fuel than trucks. Now, yeah, our roads are stuffed with tractor trailers. And we got a lot of trucks on the road. We do. And one of the reasons is that once you get to a rail station or depot or yard, that stuff has got to be distributed because rails don't drive up to or roll up to a supermarket or a mall. So trucks got to take it from the rail to the stores. And there's a lot of stuff in between. It's got to go to a distribution center and then that kind of stuff. But we have a system that is extremely efficient. We have an extremely efficient people moving system. And it does, you could say what you want, but it doesn't include moving people by rail. I'm sorry, it doesn't. And I guess that's, something that these people just do not like, that we can't move people like they do in Europe. Well, Europe is a little bit different. It's not the same as the United States. The cities are much older. I mean, the countries are older, but the cities are much older. And the infrastructure is actually older. So it makes sense for them to be able to move people from, not to mention because they're all different countries, it's easier to build a rail than it is to build a road. So it makes more sense for them. You can't tell these liberal idiots all that kind of stuff. But no, they're going to be out there trying to get their point across. They're going to try to get their point across by trying to capitalize on a tragedy. And to do it in such a manner is just absolutely filthy disgusting. But this is, of course, what you get from the left. Now, if Fox News did this, man, would the left be irate.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. Call InventHelp today.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-352-1609. That's 1-800-352-1609.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement, and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method, and to get your free report, go to 52security.com. That's the number 52security.com. 52security.com. Go to 52security.com.
Hurt or injured in a car accident? It can be hard to take the proper legal action after a car accident, but waiting can cost you more. The law requires car accident victims to assert claims promptly. You could lose out by simply waiting. Call 800-709-4667 right now to see what your claim could be worth when handled by a skilled attorney. With a lawyer fighting and speaking up for you, you could be entitled to a big cash award. Call 800-709-4667. That's 800-709-4667. Now it's fast and easy to connect with the legal help you need after your car accident. Call 800-709-4667. The call is free, but you need to act now before time runs out on your claim. You need a lawyer to fight for you, protect you, and get you the compensation you need and deserve. Time's wasting. Call 800-709-4667. That's 800-709-4667. Call now.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
You shouldn't have to pay to talk to the people closest to you, or the people who used to be. That's why Umbrella Wireless is proud to announce the new Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan. Now you'll get unlimited calls to your best buddy, your mom, or Cindy, once she realizes that you're seriously meant for each other and should stop screening your calls. Now the 30 minutes of agonizing silence where you're both afraid to hang up may drain your battery, but it won't drain your wallet. And you'll get unlimited calls just to check if she still cares enough to pick up, with no extra charges. With the Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, your phone will automatically answer calls from your ex, because maybe she finally realizes that you're the only one for her and wants to get coffee sometime. Now, after lonely nights of looking at pictures of the road trip you took together when everything was great, your misspelled texts are absolutely free. The only thing you have to pay for is the booze. The Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, because she wants you back. She just doesn't know it yet.
You're listening to The Rod Eccles Show.
You know, this whole thing about the MSNBC, yeah, it's disgusting. It is. Welcome back, folks, to The Rod Eccles Show. I'm still your lovable host, L. Rod. It really is disgusting. And it shouldn't be. These people are supposed to be journalists. Well, look, I know we've said it time. You've heard many commentator and conservative hosts and tell you that real journalism is dead and died quite some time ago. And this is more proof of that, by the way. It really is. Toll free 603-835-3224 should you wish to give me a buzz this evening while live. Dateline, Logan County, West Virginia. Now, when I saw this story, and this is from the Washington Times, when I saw this story, I was curious, to say the least. I wanted to know how this was possible in the U.S. of A. You know, considering the First and Second Amendment, I was just wondering how. Well, first of all, you have to understand this involves a public indoctrination center that we call public schools. A West Virginia mother is suing the Logan County Board of Education for violating her teenage son's constitutional rights after he was charged, legal, criminal charge, and suspended for wearing a National Rifle Association, aka NRA, T-shirt to school. And they have a picture of the kid wearing the T-shirt, and it's it's a sleeveless T-shirt. Now, granted, they may have evidently they don't have a dress code, but some schools or public schools are going to some form of dress code. I mean, some are more strict than others. I think there are even public schools out there that require a uniform or uniform standard. If it isn't exactly an approved uniform, they have a uniform standard that kids have to wear on a daily basis. But Tanya Ladiri filed a lawsuit in federal court on behalf of her son, Jared Markham, who was charged back in 2013 for disrupting the educational process and obstructing a police officer after he refused to turn his NRA T-shirt inside out. I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure out, how are you obstructing a police officer by not turning your T-shirt inside out? I am flabbergasted. You can be arrested for not turning your T-shirt inside out? I was like, am I reading this correctly? And you're saying, well, Rod, he was probably disrupting the class. Well, hold on now. Here's the rest of the story. Now, a judge later dismissed the charges, but the school still forced Jared to serve a 1-day suspension because he refused to turn his T-shirt inside out. Now, the T-shirt, was an unalarming olive green T-shirt bearing the NRA logo, which is the letters NRA in black, the words "Protect Your Right," and an image of a hunting rifle, and the official NRA logo, which has an eagle and two crossed firearms. The lawsuit names several school board members, the school district superintendent, several teachers and staffers at Logan Middle School, as well as the principal at the school itself. And the school itself. The lawsuit claims that Jared was waiting in, here's the catch, here's the kicker. He wasn't in class, folks. He was waiting in the lunch line in the school's cafeteria. Now, I don't think there's any education going on in the cafeteria during lunch. But he was waiting in the lunch line in the school's cafeteria when he was physically stopped by school secretary Anita Gore. I don't know if she's any relation to Al Gore, who placed her hand on his chest. She physically touched a student and prevented him from moving forward. The lawsuit says that Miss Gore told Jared that he had to turn his shirt inside out or face suspension. After the teen refused, teacher David Burroway hauled him off to the principal's office by his arm, according to the lawsuit. The teen was later charged with obstruction of justice because he refused to keep quiet after the officer ordered him to stop talking. Now, I'm sorry, when do the police have the right to tell you to shut up? I mean, if they're placing you under arrest, what do they tell you? They tell you that, anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Right? So at that particular point, most people realize, well, geez, maybe I better shut up. But the kid wouldn't shut up about exercising his rights that he obviously knew what they were. So the cop was telling him to shut up, and he wouldn't shut up. So, okay, now you're obstructing me from administering justice. What justice? There was no law broken. So the family is seeking $200,000 in compensatory damages and $250,000 in punitive damages for alleged violations of Jared's First and 14th Amendment rights. Now, look, I can fully understand if a school wants to implement a dress code. Now, if the kid broke the dress code, you would think that he would have been notified before lunch that he broke the dress. Now, nowhere in this story does it say, or in the lawsuit, does it mention a dress code. But you would think that if there was a dress code in place and that he broke the dress code, it would have been addressed by the time homeroom was done. Not at lunch. And if he's disrupting the class with his shirt, then you would assume that a teacher in which the class that he was in would have addressed the issue as well. He was evidently quietly standing in a lunch line in the school cafeteria at his designated lunch period. And he was confronted by the school secretary, not the school principal, not the school vice principal, not the school dean, not another teacher, but the secretary, who physically assaulted him by putting her hand on his chest and preventing him from moving. When he refused, he was then assaulted again by being grasped firmly about the arm and hauled off to the principal's office by another teacher. Look, folks, that is the legal definition of assault. I know a lot of people think, well, assault is when somebody punches you or harms you. No, assault is when you physically touch someone without their permission to do so. Did you know that you could actually put your hand on the shoulder of a cop? And if he didn't want you to do that and did not allow you to do that, you could be arrested for assault. All you could do is just rest your hand on his shoulder. He can arrest you for assaulting an officer. That's what assault is. That's the legal definition of assault, folks. I'm sorry, it is. You know, we may like it, we may not like it. That's irrelevant. The point is that is the legal definition of assault. So this student was assaulted not once, but twice. Now you can say, well, Rod, he was committing a crime. There was no crime. He was wearing a T-shirt, and all he did as a probably middle school, a 13 or 14-year-old, refused to turn it inside out. By the way, in order for him to turn the T-shirt inside out, he would have to take the T-shirt off. Thereby, I am also assuming that he's probably not wearing a shirt underneath the T-shirt, because, most people do not wear anything under a sleeveless T-shirt. So he would have been breaking the school rules by not having a shirt on. So the teacher was telling this kid in a food area to be, because no shirt, no shoes, no service. So the teacher was or an office official, school secretary, was ordering this kid to probably break the cafeteria rules by taking off his shirt. Now, isn't that funny that you can break the law or break the rules in order to enforce a rule that doesn't exist or should not exist? Yeah, another flabbergasting moment in my... Now, look, I am sure that most of you under the sound of my voice would be livid at this, and evidently this mother was. Why it took her 2 years to bring, over a year and a half now to bring this to trial or to sue, to try to make some changes is beyond me. Now you're probably saying, well, yeah, Rod, look, she's seeking almost $500,000. It's about the money. Well, in this particular case, there's money involved, and there has to be, in order to make the school stand up and pay attention and take it seriously. Because now they have to address it. Because if there's no monetary damages attached, the school could just flitter and blah. No, that's no big deal. But if they say no big deal to this, the school district is going to lose $500,000 or more. So they can't be flippant about this. So they're going to have to seriously address it. And this whole notion that kids have no rights is a ludicrous one. Especially when it's so vague and when it's discriminatory. It's almost like in some inner city schools in some places where they say they can't wear certain colors because they're gang colors. Well, I don't know. We can't wear blue and red because the Crips and the Bloods colors include blue and red. Just because a kid wears a blue T-shirt or red T-shirt doesn't mean he's a gang member or he's promoting the gangs. But, some places they're not allowed to wear certain colors or certain color combinations. And this kid is, he's we're talking West Virginia here. It's kind of like Montana when it comes to firearms. We're not talking New York. We're not talking Massachusetts or California. We're talking West Virginia. Now, you kind of expect this kind of thing to happen in places like California and Massachusetts and New York, where they're very anti-gun to begin with. But in West Virginia? And I'm still trying to figure out how it's disruptive to the educational process when the kid's in a lunch line. And then he gets hauled off to the principal's office. So nobody else can, he's already been embarrassed in the lunch line. Now, my other question is, well, if he was at lunch, he was probably hungry. Did they allow him to eat? I know those are questions that you're not supposed to ask. Those are questions I do ask. Those are questions that demand answers. So the kid let's simplify this. The kid goes through half his day. Half his day. No problems. Evidently, no problem in any class. Evidently, no problem in the hallway. Passing between classes if they exchange classes, and I'm sure in middle school all over the country, middle school and high school, that's what they do. It's not like elementary. Even nowadays, elementary school often changes classes for certain subjects. But so he's going to class to class. First, probably 3 class changes at least. So he's probably by the time lunch comes along, he probably has been to 3 classes, 3 of his 5 or 6 classes for the day. So he's been to 3 classes. Well, no, let's start. This is now. It doesn't say what time of year this is, but I'm assuming it's going to be during the warmer months. So he arrives at school in this shirt. No problem. He goes to his homeroom, which, again, most schools have to start the day. They take attendance so they can get their federal dollars and all that kind of stuff. No problem in homeroom. So then he's off to his first class. No problem in that class. Then he's out in the hallway again, exchanging, going to a second class. No problem with that. No issue. Goes into his second class. No problem. Evidently, he goes back out of the hallway, changing classes, locker, all that kind of stuff, getting his other books for his other class. No problem, evidently. Goes to his third class, again, even if it's just a study hall, no issues, no problems. And then he's back out, going into the hallways again. Again, no problem. Gets in a lunch line, no problem, until the school secretary places her hand upon his chest and says, "Turn that shirt inside out." And he probably says, I'm going to assume, being a teenage boy in today's era, he probably looked at her and rather curtly and not respectfully said, "No." And then tried to move forward in the line so he could get lunch, and she prevented him from doing it, at which point a male teacher then comes over to him, grabs him by his arm, and drags him off to the principal's office, where I'm sure there's argument going on, and a cop is called, and the cop is saying, "You turn that shirt," and the kid is probably, he's probably spouting off his rights. He probably knows them. And so the cop doesn't want to hear it, so he orders him to shut up, and the kid keeps spouting off his rights, and the cop says, "Okay, now I'm going to arrest you for obstruction of justice because you failed to shut up when I told you to shut up." And then he gets arrested and then suspended over a T-shirt. He wasn't promoting violence. He wasn't promoting ganghood. He wasn't promoting not even a violent religion. Now, I'm sure if this kid was wearing an Islamic shirt, he'd be fine. A T-shirt that promoted Islam, he would have been fine. He probably could have been wearing a shirt that showed the head of a Christian in the hands of ISIS. He would have been fine. But he's got an NRA shirt on. A T-shirt with an NRA logo. Oh, and that's unacceptable. What? Where has sensibility gone in this country when we are arresting our teenage children who are standing up for their own rights, individual rights, and then we just make up charges so that we can arrest them and suspend them? And this mother rightfully stood up and said, "Oh, hell no." Oh, by the way, the kid wasn't black. He's white with an original Justin Bieber haircut. Remember how Justin, when he first came out, he had that haircut? That's what his haircut looks like. I don't know what they call that style. I just call it a Bieber. A Bieber haircut. Young Bieber, original Bieber, I don't know. Yeah. Welcome to America with a K, folks. This is why I'm going out on speaking tour. Because this kind of stuff has got to be noted and stopped. It's got to be, to use a colloquial term, it's got to be arrested. More Clinton email bombshells in campaign season. Federal judge gives State Department until September to hand over documents to a conservative group. This is in the Daily Mail. I kind of looked around to see if I could find a matching article on this from a U.S.-based lamestream media site. I don't see it. So a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit demands emails from Hillary Clinton, her top State Department aides, and the CEO of an outside firm with long-standing Clinton world ties. Now, squabbling could stretch into next January, putting the time frame for new Hillary bombshells in the middle of the 10th presidential primary season. Now, Citizens United, the conservative group that fought campaign finance laws and won in the Supreme Court, is pushing for the documents. Now, these people are no slouches. They're no joke. They want Hillary's documents. The U.S. State Department has until September 21st to hand over a giant cache of emails to a conservative activist group that sought them from via Freedom of Information Act request and went to court to force the government's hand. Now, if the parties in a federal lawsuit squabble over what is and isn't subject to public disclosure, the courtroom battles could stretch into next January, putting the time frame for a new Hillary Clinton bombshell right in the middle of the 10th presidential primary season. Citizens United, the organization whose legal maneuvering famously rewrote parts of America's campaign finance law, demanded copies of emails sent among a large group of officials at state and their outside associates. They say we expect to learn more of how Clinton Inc., as they call it, operated inside and outside the State Department. And this is by the group's president, David Bossie. So Hillary has got some other issues coming up on her. The email, I told you this email thing was not going to go away. And it looks like there's some conservative groups like Citizen United who's now got they're like pit bulls. They've got their teeth into this and they're not letting go anytime soon. At least not willingly. This could be very damning and damaging for Hillary. I think it's about time that this woman came clean. No, I'm just saying. Tell the truth now before you get forced to in a very bad light. Well, folks, that sound means that I am out of time for tonight. We'll be back here tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, I'm Rod Eccles. This has been the Rod Eccles Show. I'm out.